yesterday, and they also watched the game today. So how do you feel about the Chinese kids?
No, it was good. The clinic yesterday was fun. I also had the opportunity this morning to do a second clinic for local coaches, for high school coaches. And so just to get the opportunity to sit and exchange ideas with them and the interaction with them, I also enjoyed greatly. You know, I told them they're extremely fortunate, you know, because in this country, you know, everyone here, you know, just by sheer numbers, there's many people that play basketball here as there are people in the United States. And it's a country that's thirsty. It's a country that's really, basketball is growing, and the caring and the excitement and the curiosity about the sport is really growing. And so this group of high school coaches, you know, that I was fortunate enough to talk with today, they're in a unique position to start to teach this generation, this upcoming generation of Chinese basketball players.
Thank you, Coach. And I'll leave the question to the media.
John, did you
Can
find...
you please identify yourself and who you're with, please?
Gene Wong with the Washington Post.
Thank you very much.
Did you find the reception and the atmosphere and the environment of today much more inviting, given the circumstances surrounding your last game?
Much more comparing to last game, or just different than what we anticipated?
Different than what you anticipated.
No, that was exactly what we anticipated. I mean, you know, you look at the events that happened the other day, and that's not the norm. And so the reception that our team got today and the atmosphere today was much more consistent with A, what we anticipated, and B, what we experienced in every other game an event that we were a part of since we've been here. So that was not surprising at all. Now, what was, I don't want to say surprising, but what was exciting, what was good is just, you know, the number of people that were there, the whole atmosphere, you know, the venue in and of itself, and just being part of Nike's Festival of Sport was something that was different and special.
Thank you, Coach. Next question, please.
Hi, Dave Barboza from the New York Times. Can you talk about what happened after the last game, whether there was any meeting between the teams or what transpired after the last game?
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sure you do know. What specifically are you looking for? I mean, everyone knows what happened. You mean in the gym, in the hotel, the next morning, yesterday? Like what exactly do you mean?
You know,
all the above.
A team-to-team meeting at the airport or at the hotel or anything, and said, you know, apologies or.
Well, we got together, myself, the coach, and two players from our team, and two players from their team the following morning in the airport, and just sat down and talked. And it wasn't so much about let's discuss the events of the previous night. You know, I said this yesterday that a lot of times, you know, in competition, when you're going against someone, you forget that they're human. You forget that they have families, they have kids, they have other interests. And so that meeting was more just to sit down and talk about that. And we're going to move on. It's time to move on.
Thank you. I think yesterday, G-Town has given us, the kid, a quite inspiring coaching clinic, and also today has a great game here. So we'd appreciate if you can ask more questions around these 2 days. Very appreciate about it.
But I'm okay talking about the other stuff too.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
John, I know it's only August and you got a while to play really, really meaningful games, but to come here to guarantee yourself a winning record leaving China, how important is that to you?
I said this prior to getting on the plane. The wins and losses here are not important. You know, I wanted to come here, we wanted to come here to get some sense of who we are as a team. You know, I said this, and you heard, Gene, you heard me say this before we left. I wanted to put ourselves in difficult, adverse, tough situations and see how they respond. See if they rally around each other. See if they support each other. And that clearly has happened. You know, the glaring point that jumps out at you is the incident the other day. But more importantly, I've seen it in the 3 games that we played so far, different situations, how the team has done a good job of leaning on each other, of supporting each other, of having each other's back, and that unity, that bond is something that we wanted to establish, to forge while we're on this trip, and I think that will help us on a go-forward basis. The win, now it's good to win, don't get me wrong. Losing is never good, but that was not the goal of this trip. The goal was to get our team, and it's easy because we have 5 freshmen, just to say the young guys, but it's applicable to our entire team, to get our team experience together, this unit together, and we've done that.
Thank you, Coach. Next one, please.
Hello. After the 2 games, I saw a lot of talent players in your team, and like your PJ Clark. And I want to ask, do you think how many players in your team will have the opportunities to enter the NBA or enter the draft?
The opportunity to get the opportunity to play in the NBA, it's so few and far between. I mean, I have 13 players in over there, and 13 want that. And probably 13 think that's going to happen. And, a whole lot has to go right. A lot of growth, a lot of development, a lot of fortune has to come your way. And so to sit here right now and say how many guys I think will have the opportunity to play in the NBA, I'm not sure, but a whole lot has to go right and a lot of development has to happen for all of them if that is going to be a possibility.
Thank you.
Hi, Coach. As I know, the team you play with is a professional basketball team in China Basketball Association. So could you please explain a little bit about your understanding of the difference between college basketball and professional basketball, please?
College basketball and professional basketball here in the United States, professional basketball, here in China, here in the United States, or in the United States, which do you mean?
United States, please.
The differences? There's tremendous differences. First and foremost is the talent. The NBA still has the best players in the world. The NBA has guys that are at the pinnacle. Everybody who plays basketball, maybe across the globe, aspires to play in the NBA. And so, the differences between the collegiate game and the professional game, above and beyond the nuances of the game, the rules of the game, the size of the lane, all that stuff is irrelevant. But just the NBA, you have still the best players in the world, and the collegiate game, much like the leagues here, much like the leagues all across the world, you have people that aspire to get to that point.
Thank you, Coach. And next one.
This is the guy who's had his head in the sand the last couple of days.
Now, I want to ask you about, you played, I think, 3 CBA teams. What's your assessment of these teams, like the team today, Liaoning, and the others, about their style of play, about the quality of the players?
Well, I think a lot like us, it's early for them. I don't think they've had too many practices, too much time to get organized. Now, because they are professional teams, that group, it's my understanding, that group has been together for quite some time, much like the other 2 teams. They've had a group of people that's been together. But I think that the quality of play is good. It's very good. And more importantly, I said this at some point yesterday. I said this to the high school coaches that I was able to speak with yesterday. And that you're going to see, I anticipate, I predict very quickly when many of the best players in the world are from right here. That's one of the things that Nike's done a good job of bringing different teams over here, bringing different coaches over here, and you're going to see, as the thirst and the yearning to become basketball players among the young kids here in China continues to grow. You're going to see, in the very near future, I anticipate some of the best players in the world coming from here.
Thank you, Coach. It's very encouraging. Next one.
Carson Yu with ABC and ESPN. I'm just wondering, after Thursday's incident, how's the reception been, and kind of And how have your young men learned from it? Or what do you hope they've learned from this whole experience as well in China?
You know, I think many lessons have been learned. You know, I said yesterday, you know, you enter into a contest, and you know, quickly competition becomes a confrontation, and from that confrontation and from that conflict, you can learn, you can take away, you can grow, and that, you know, you can gain knowledge from that. And you know, the word of the day, everyone wants to talk about diplomacy, and I think that's just a fancy way, in many ways, of the lesson that our guys learn, that we're all the same. You walk on those lines, you're competing. You know, the way the game ended the other day is not how anyone would have anticipated, liked, or as very few people ever have seen anything like that. But at the same time, you move on, you grow, you meet the next day, you realize that, you know, there aren't that many differences between us. And I said this a lot of times, and we hope that this happens, you know, that out of that conflict, a bond is formed. Out of that conflict, a oneness and a unity can be established between Georgetown University and that organization. And you know, I don't know how grandiose you want to make it and start talking about the two countries, but I think that if nothing else, our guys have some semblance, some small semblance of understanding of how everything we do is watched, is viewed, and how you can have an impact on your surroundings. You can have an impact and an influence on many different facets that a lot of those guys, I'll throw Coach Thompson and myself included, you don't really think about until something like that happens, and you realize that the world is watching.
Thank you. Sorry, excuse me. Next question.